Hi, Eric. Episode number
Hey,
one.
Mike, here we
Finan-
go.
Financial Blind Spots, our new
That's it.
YouTube channel.
Yeah. And the title of our book, upcoming.
Exactly, exactly. So, our first video, really, you and I wanted to talk about kind of how we got here.
Yep, absolutely. It's been a, what, 2 to 3 year journey overall?
Yeah, yeah. Anybody that wants to write a book, I'm sure you thought it was going to be a lot easier than it ended up being, and I know for sure that I thought it was going to be a lot easier.
Yeah. We'll pray for them, whoever wants to embark on a project like this.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard. I was listening to Robert, the guy that wrote the Laws of Power, and anyways, his name's Robert something, and he was talking about how much he enjoys, the final part of the book, but he knows when he embarks on a book, it's just pure pain.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if I felt all that, but but it was a lot.
It's been certainly not just an external journey, but a huge internal journey
Yeah,
for me
yeah,
anyway. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so we thought we would talk a little bit about how we got here. Now, I came to the industry a little bit differently than you did, and
Yeah.
I know that you always wanted to write a book as well. Um, but I think it was really me, kind of with this wacky idea, kind of coming to talk to you about, hey, let's write a book. And I remember where I was. I was in um, Park City, Utah, and we were at a meeting for prosperity economics, which is just a group which our audience will hear a lot about over time.
Mhm.
And there was a guy there, Garrett Gunderson. I don't know if it was him, but I think it was him, talking about a book that they wrote. What would the Rockefellers do?
Great book.
Yeah, and when I heard that, I'm like, well, what about if we wrote a book called "What If Your Barber Was Wrong"? Now, now that was obviously a play on Michael Chilton's work, right? The Wealthy Barber,
Yeah.
and I was sitting beside a fella, who was another Canadian. There wasn't too many Canadians at this meeting, and he said, "That's brilliant." So I'm like, "Oh, there you go. I had some divine inspiration." within within 10 minutes of
Immediate feedback.
Yeah, within 10 minutes of being in this industry, like I've had some divine intervention here. So anyways, I had this in the back of my mind and I wanted to pursue it. And I actually started pursuing it with this other fella. I saw very early that, that he didn't understand the process and I didn't understand the process for sure. And it just, I don't think he was really up for it, to be honest with you, right? He was certainly up for me doing it, but I don't know if he was up for doing it. So I kind of put it on the back burner, and then a client of mine started this self-publishing service called Book Launchers, and then it was really at the forefront. Okay, someone who's actually written a book could probably help me. And then at the same time, you and I had met through an agency that we were working together, and then obviously I said, "Hey, Eric, do you want to write a book?"
Totally. Totally. Yeah, I mean, I was so happy actually when you approached me with it because I had been thinking about it and having learned about much of this compared to my previous life in the markets, I realized people just were not as able to digest risk over their entire life as they may think. And so obviously these topics emerged and very exciting that we actually came together, Mike, and are so much on the same page. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think it speaks to a lot around partnerships and how we're different in a lot of ways, but we're also the same in a lot of ways. And um, and without your steady nature, um, I don't know if we would have got it done, right? Like I needed you to get this thing done. It was the
Well, it's very
accountability.
mutual, Mike. It,
Yeah,
it was hard. It was simply just hard, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm
I
glad
tend
we persevered.
Well, I tend to have lots of ideas, right? As you know. And but it's
We do.
really,
We both do. Yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure. but it's really, the accountability, and then having someone, who's steady, and keeping the eye on the ball to kind of get her completed. Um, the one thing though I wanted to jump in before we kind of talk a little bit further was really how we've changed, how our views, and actually it's kind of like the perfect time for this book to come out, because
I think
when
so
I
too.
first started, I was focused on, right and wrong. Like there was a right way to, um, arrange your financial furniture. There was a big, inside the insurance circles, there's a big leaning against the markets. There's a lot of criticism of the markets, and, which some of it's well deserved. Uh, and this whole thing about right and wrong and a best way, and which we could talk about further. However, I think that what you and I came pretty clear on is that there's lots of ways to get there, and it's really about each person's journey.
Yeah. It's a very subjective matter, finance. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, tell me a little bit more about your background, how you came to this industry of servicing clients.
Yeah, well, I'm a CPA, right? I guess that's what they call us now. Back in the day, I was a chartered accountant. That's how I started, and
Yeah.
now I'm a CPA, CA, I guess is what they call us, for a few years. Um, and yeah, I was in public practice, and I liked numbers. I liked client relationships. I liked analyzing finances in a different way, and I there was just something missing there for me, in how we could help and service clients. And it's funny. I was writing a bio today for another podcast I'm doing, and there's some things that were happening inside my career. Like I was getting some more exposure to life insurance and life insurance strategies through some of the education I was doing. And then the other thing too was really the change, kind of brought about by the 2016 federal budget, and where really Canada Revenue Agency, uh, was given $500 million, by our friend Mr. Trudeau, to ask a lot more questions of our clients. And so that made the profession really hard. We were answering a lot of requests, like we were spending more time working for CRA than it was for our clients. And I just decided, what, there must be another way that I could help people. And thankfully, I did discover this wonderful tool of life insurance, which we'll talk a lot more about as we kind of go through our podcasts and go through everything that we're kind of planning to do. Um, but yeah, that's kind of how I got here. How about you? How did you get into? How did you fall into being a life insurance advisor? And really, we're both kind of really financial professionals, right? Like that's, um, think that's important for people to understand, is that, yeah, we get compensated through life insurance strategies, but really, we really are holistic in our financial recommendations and our plans. But yeah, tell us how you got here.
Yeah. In a nutshell, my experience previously was in the markets, directly into the markets with trading floors and traders working for us and helping even clients on that side and being really plugged into the markets. And I love the markets. I think the markets are fabulous. They enable somebody to get gains, get liquidity immediately if they want to. Wonderful wealth has been created over the centuries in stock markets, etc. But when I exited from the owning floor and trading, and I started helping clients with their wealth management, and I came across people that didn't really understand much about insurance, and they were asking me. And honestly, I didn't really understand insurance as well as I should have as a general financial advisor. And it became obvious I needed to take the course to understand the subject matter for my own family, but then also, of course, help my clients. And once I took the course, I became more appreciative of it. And then I dived into it further with different whole life strategies, permanent strategies, and that's how we met, of course,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
with Bank on Yourself Canada, and just really began to appreciate how it complements general market approaches and financial decisions when it comes to investing. And I realized so much that everybody kind of grows up thinking that the rate of return on whatever they're making will solve all problems. And basically, we've learned that that's a very narrow point of view. And, that kind of helped us, of course, write this book, those philosophies in terms of expanding that mental approach to finance, right? Not just one solution kind of thing. It's several solutions, and how that's arranged is very subjective.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in a nutshell how I came here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I think that the markets are, obviously a miracle now. Having said that, there's lots of things that go wrong, and lots of that stuff is
Absolutely.
published in the news, and there's lots of disincentives and incentives and misaligned incentives that we go over in our book, with regards
Yeah.
to it. But really having that, vehicle to accumulate wealth, is a miracle.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
would be really hard, for people to accumulate wealth without having access to be able to invest in these great companies. And I think that we just take it for granted at times. We're,
Totally.
you know, back back in the day when we're all in the village, and my last name is Baker, so I obviously would have been the baker. you know, uh, we all did our separate jobs, and we'd all be kind of taken care of that way. Well, really, the world is differentiated and become much more complex. That, those days are over, and having access to these companies that can benefit in their you know increase in value, and the liquidity and everything is just it's a miracle. And then, some of these tools that, really, life insurance, which started out as really just a basic savings vehicle, and it's a real social good. Again, has turned out to be just an absolute miracle for people, and really dealing with a lot of issues and challenges that we all have, to really be able to have the freedom that we want later in life. And I think that's the goal for everyone, is to be able to have freedom however they define it. And kind of how you and I define it is to be able to do what you want, when you want, how you want, with who you want, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And, yeah, yeah, so that's very cool.
Yeah. Having freedom and a very low stress level when it comes to finance.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Mhm.
That's the goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily happen in practice, for sure, for sure. Yeah. um So yeah, so we've done a lot of work, we've done a lot of growing. What I've done is I've actually pulled up the book, outline, kind of on our other monitor here. And do you want to spend a
Perfect.
couple of moments kind of going through that?
Yeah. Please bring it
Yeah,
up. It'll be
yeah.
great for
Let's
everybody to
let's do
see.
it. So here we are, financial blind spots, insider secrets for achieving financial freedom. Wow,
Yeah. What
that's a
stage are we at with it, Mike? We're in the
We're
final edit,
we're
right?
we're yeah,
Yeah.
we're very close. Yeah, yeah. We're probably 2 months from hitting the bookshelves, or hitting the airwaves, or whatever you want to call it, right? Because now so much stuff
Yeah.
is done digitally, right? Um, yeah, and obviously the title for our book, or is the background that we just had, you know, that we just saw there. So, what I'm gonna
Do you,
do is I'm just gonna
Mike, do
go.
you want me to just elaborate real quick on blind spots, how that name came about?
Yeah, well, we started off saying, what if your barber was wrong? And our advisor at the time said, Mike, people don't like it when you tell them that they're wrong. And I'm like, and he had a point. It wasn't a very positive title.
Yeah, that's the advice we ended up receiving, isn't it?
Hmm.
They said basically we can't. let's not start making enemies right with the title.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and Blind Spot really came to us just through just some creative brainstorming, and we were kind of saying like, geez, tell me something about what you don't know, and that was really impactful for us, um, and that's kind of where it came from, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Hmm. Hmm.
Exactly. And the people that I've talked to about the book, and shared with them the title, a lot of people are saying, we can't wait to read something like that because I do feel that I have blind spots, and I think everybody out there has
Oh,
that.
everybody
Um,
does. Yeah,
yeah,
everybody does. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
no, for sure. And there's blind spots everywhere in life, and we're continuing to learn, continuing to grow, and so yeah, there's a real. I think you and I wanted to really impact people on a personal level. You and I do more work maybe with owner-managed businesses and professionals, and but we really wanted to have an impact, really on kind of like an individual level, right? And that's kind of where the book is geared. It doesn't really bring in a lot of corporate concepts, and maybe that's our next book.
yeah. I know we had those chapters, right? But we
Yeah,
felt
yeah.
we gotta, yeah,
It was
not
too
have it too
much. It
thick.
was just too
Yeah,
much, right?
it was
So
way
we
too
had
much.
enough for 5 books when we first started, right? So
Totally. Yeah, it was
um,
exciting, but it was a little bit overwhelming.
very
What we,
overwhelming, yeah.
yeah,
So the table of contents that I've kind of have brought up here is was really, again, like the whole process was just really, just trying to just really work out a way to deliver our message, and so in the first part of the book, which are all delivered in blind spots, um, are really bigger concepts, right? As you'll see, the first one is your mindset, right? Like everything starts in the mind, and then we go into biases and tendencies, and then we go into procrastination, right? Which is something that everybody deals with, and the spotlights, which we'll kind of come to later, are more directed to specific financial tools and strategies. But we really wanted to set up some context in the
implementation.
first part of this
Yeah.
book, right?
Absolutely. And you know that those first three chapters are humanistic kind of subjects.
Mm-hmm.
We need to understand where we are in our minds,
Mm-hmm.
and because otherwise the information that's received is not going to be probably acted on in the first place, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It all
That's
comes up.
self-awareness. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Awareness, openness, action. It really does come down to action. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
because if you're, I was talking to somebody. I was in um, a seminar not too long ago, and we said, look, action, even if you're going the wrong way, action is useful. If you're lost in Toronto and you got your GPS, if you see that dot, if you're not moving, you have no idea which way to go. So even
Totally.
if you start walking a couple hundred yards direction the wrong way, you'll figure out how to go the right way. And that's really what it is in life, is that you just need to be in action, because whether you're going the wrong way, whatever that means, um, it gives you some bearings to change course and move, right?
Yeah.
So,
You can't steer a parked car, we always say, right? So
yes,
yeah.
you love
Yeah.
that saying.
I do. I don't. Yeah. It may come up again. I'll try to curb it.
Yeah.
Uh,
$1 for every person that that gets how many times that Eric say you can't steer a parked car. There you go.
there you go.
We
Yeah.
might be giving away our book proceeds.
That's right. But yeah, that's very important, Mike.
Yeah.
Good point.
And then we go into kind of talking about your economic universe, and really where that chapter was geared is that there's so much noise, there's so much going on. We got the Ukraine war, we got the stuff going on in Gaza now, and we had COVID. You and I were kind of struggling with this through COVID.
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot of factors going out there, and we're not saying obviously don't be aware of that. It's hard not to be aware of that. However, there's a lot of impact that each of us can make individually, and it's really important to focus on ourselves and our economic universe, and how we can move forward and get to where we want to go in our lives by taking maybe a little bit more focused view.
yeah, and trust more our personal power, if you will, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we go into your maximum potential, which is kind of a really neat concept where,
I love that one.
we just show
Yeah,
people, how much money really will go through their hands in their lifetime. And then the three basic factors you know, in determining how much we have left over for life someday, which we'll talk about later. And we talk about taxes, we talk about financing, and we talk about lifestyle costs. And let's face it, while you're working, cash flow is not an issue. But it's if you don't prepare and you don't have something there for life someday, then you know what you'll be doing later on in life may be very different from what you envisage.
yeah, yeah. And that reality becomes more and more clear as we age.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we go into why it's important to have strategy, and really strategy is just a fancy word for a plan. Um,
Hmm.
but we all feel that people need a north star in their lives,
Yeah,
and all the fun is in the journey. Set big goals and keep climbing.
totally.
I've certainly found that in my career is just I keep climbing. Um, you get to just set yourself a big goal and just learn how to love climbing. And then building your team, right? Because really who you have around you is very important um, in terms of really collecting your ideas and your thoughts around again how you want to structure your journey.
Yeah, and to add to that, Mike, it is so important when you build a team to realize what each team member is bringing to the table and what maybe their motivations might be, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of their specialty and their thinking and their approach. And the previous chapters before that probably will give the reader an awareness of how to kind of understand those different variables and those different team members and how to make the most of that, that orchestra, if you will, of
Mm-hmm.
putting people together. Yeah, right on.
Yeah, yeah, and so as we said, in the latter parts of the book, we talk about financial spotlights, so specific topics. First one we talk about is protection, which is really focused on kind of life insurance, disability, critical illness, which is the foundation of any plan. Um, if you don't have that, then you're building your house on shaky ground.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Next one is capital risks and diversification. Um, kind of registered plans, RSPs, TFSAs. Are they the holy grail of financial planning? It's kind of
They
a
have their
catchy title.
role,
They do have
but
their role.
you know,
Then we dive into a very interesting, an interesting saying that I've encountered a lot in my journey is, buy term and invest the difference. And we kind of joked around and said, well, really, it's buy term and spend the difference. And we talk about that. Next spotlight is infinite banking, and wow, has there been a lot of TikTok videos and lots of things you know, coming out around how you can be the bank.
yeah. And it's great that people are becoming aware of that amazing concept. It really is. But like we discussed in that chapter, one needs to be prudent with those ideas.
Yeah, we'll go into this more. The thing with infinite banking is that it's so focused on a very, very narrow part of a person's plan. And really, if you make it your whole plan, it could come back to haunt you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
People need to understand it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
in terms of
It
the bigger picture,
yeah,
not just
it can fit,
the aspects of
but
the
there's a
policy.
lot more around it. that needs to, and because it's been focused on, there's a lot of things that aren't being addressed, and we think, you know, to people's detriment, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
real estate, everybody loves real estate.
Yeah.
So we're talking about real estate and how to evaluate real estate deals and just a few
There's some
things
really
in,
good stuff you put in that one there, Mike.
you know, a
Yeah.
calculator. And
Yeah.
then pensions and annuities, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about those, because, pensions and annuities provide people with a stable source of cash flow, which is important as they
Yeah.
go go into the future.
And it may be worth mentioning that, of course, right now with the way the rates are, annuities have come back a little bit in popularity. So that may be a good tool for some people down the road. So, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, what are you thinking, Eric? Are you excited for this next chapter? Literally.
It's definitely a new one. This
Yeah.
is like a new set of clothes that we're wearing here. This is
Yeah.
new to me anyway, and I'm very excited. I'm glad I'm doing it with you, Mike. I'm glad
Hmm.
we finished the book. I'm glad we were able to reach maybe people that we wouldn't have reached otherwise through this medium,
Hmm.
and very excited about working together and helping a lot of people with the information that we can share.
Yeah. Yeah. No. No. Me too. For sure. It's been a long time coming, and yeah, just really excited to be a contribution to the world when we've really gathered some good information and we're really clear on what that means or what it could mean for people, right? And I think that
Absolutely.
yeah, that
Yeah.
part is exciting. Well, I guess if there's nothing more for you, Eric, I think we'll sign off for today. It's been great spending
Well,
some time with
one
you.
thing. Yeah, I'd love to just add that the following episodes are going to be diving more into each and every chapter, and then of course there'll be other chapters to follow, and this whole program is going to evolve more and more as time goes on, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We're not just going to totally focus on the book. There's a lot of
Hmm.
a lot of you know topics and people that we want to bring on to really expand on this and just really share stories and situations that will help people in their journey.
Yeah.
It's not totally focused on the book. Obviously, the book was the genesis of our business partnership, and what we're up to and some of the things that we're doing. However, it's obviously bigger than that, right? And we want to really let this be what it can be, right?
Yeah. And allow it to grow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And hopefully we'll also get feedback from people maybe on topics they want to have us discuss openly or examine closely, etc. Yeah. So
Hmm.
we look forward
Hmm.
to that as well.
Hmm. Incredible.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
Eric. Well, have a
Mike,
wonderful weekend.
you
Great seeing
too.
you.
Great first start. I feel this is
Yeah,
amazing. Thank
yeah,
you. Yeah.
yeah. All right,
Yeah.
buddy. Okay.
Okay.
Have a
Talk
great
soon, guys.
day. Talk soon.
Ciao.
Bye now.
Bye bye.